Okay, good afternoon, Al. So I'm Sideshwara Guru. So I'm the program lead for the TERN Data Services Analytica platform. So we build a data infrastructure to manage all the TERN data. Today I'm presenting with Gerhard Wies. He's a solution architect in our team. So we both are presenting just to provide an overview of what the tools available in TERN and how to use it. And then so we will have enough time for the Q&A. And then to provide a feedback as well. Sorry. Okay, so just for the clarity for the Zoom participants, can you see the screen? Can you please provide a thumbs up or something? Okay. Okay, can you hear me properly? So everybody, okay. Okay, cool. Thanks, Isabel. Okay, so as I said, today we'll talk about the tools and services we offer to access all the TERN collected data. And then, so we show a bit of all the tools, and then Gerhard will provide a demo of how to programmatically access the data. So don't worry about taking photos, slides, and everything. So we will email you all after the presentation, as well as the notebook Gerhard has prepared. So we will send you all the link to the GitHub and then the slides as well. Yeah? Okay, so before we start, I want to acknowledge the traditional custodians on the land we are working in TERN, and then we honor their connection to land, water, biodiversity, and culture, and pay our respect to their elders, past, present, and emerging as well. So the outline today, so just provide a brief overview of TERN, what TERN is, and then so I will introduce you to the tools and services, which is very critical, which is important for the external users to access it. And then we will, the Gerhard will, will demo some of the tools, use our data and then what you can do with it programmatically. And then we will leave enough time for the Q&A and so that you can provide a feedback as well. Okay, so what is TERN? So TERN is a national collaborative research infrastructure. It is funded through the NCRIS initiative, and then we are, the project was started in 2009. So we are one of the 24 projects funded by NCRIS, and we are hosted in UQ. So TERN basically collect and publish the terrestrial ecosystem data. So anything on the land, so we do the monitoring. And then we publish those data as well. So as part of the observatory, TERN collects the observation as well as the samples as well. So predominantly TERN collects the vegetation and soil samples. And then we have a wide, close to 180,000 physical samples. And then you can access at least 130,000 of them, which are curated. And then, so TERN has extended to a bit of a coastal ecosystem as well. So we have started publishing the coastal, especially the surface elevation cable data set very soon. So TERN is a network, and then we collect data at a different scale. So the observatory works at the continental scale. These are all predominantly remote sensing products, and then the model-derived products. And then, so these are the spatial and then time series as well. A fair bit of them are time series as well. The next level of observation is a regional scale. So these are typically the ecological plot, 100-meter plots distributed all across Australia. And then we collect the soil characteristics and then the vegetation information from these plots. And then we collect the tissue samples and then the soil samples as well, the vegetation tissue samples. On the same plots, we run the UAV. That is a new program TERN has started, so that the idea is to monitor them more frequently than the human observation. So that is, currently we have collected data from at least around 75 sites out of that. So the next level of observation is what we call as intensive monitoring. These are typically highly sensorized. We have around 12 what we call as a super sites, and there are 36 flux towers. And then as part of the super sites, each of the super sites will have a flux tower as well. And then it has got a phynocam camera as well, acoustic sensors, and then acoustic sensors collect 24/7. Phynocam collects 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. And then the flux collects 24/7 as well. So this is a substantial data holding TERN add to the community. Okay, so just to provide a pictorial representation in one picture, this is what you can imagine what the TERN does. So we derive a remote sensing products, satellite remote sensing products as well. So we have some of the AOP aerial vehicle, and then the UAV, and then the terrestrial laser scanner. That is the network that will be deployed very soon. And then we do a fair bit of a systematic survey at TERN as well. And then the tower represents the flux data, and then the phynocam. So the camera is deployed as part of the flux tower, and then the acoustic sensors as well, which is distributed in the two of them each in each site in those 12 super sites. Okay, so just to provide a bit of an overview of where the infrastructures are, the flux towers are seen in the table. So we have, it's widely spread all across Australia. So we have towers from the savanna sites to the tropical rainforest in the northern Queensland, to the grassland in the central Queensland, to the alpine region in Victoria, and then the Tasmania as well. So we have towers even in the Western Australia, in the Great Western Woodland, and then the Gingin as well. So it's and then we have two towers in the central of Australia as well. So which is on the either side of the Stuart Highway. So one is the Alice Morgan, and then one is the Tea Tree. So, so I think there are still about 4 or 5 will be added into that one in the next one in this financial year. So this one is what I said about the super sites. Again, this is quite representative all across Australia. So these are there are few has been added. Currently about 16 of them. It's well distributed in every states of the Australian continent. So in each of these super sites, there is a flux towers, and then in these super sites, there are acoustic monitoring, and then the phenocameras as well is deployed in these super sites. So this is a map of the surveillance monitoring. So these are around 1,000 of them all across Australia. In this one, they go and do the systematic survey on using a common protocol on a 100-meter plot. So predominantly they do the vegetation and then the soil characteristics measurement. So they take the samples as well, the vegetation and the soil samples as well. So we go and collect the data to do the calibration validation of remote sensing as well. So these are the sites that are used. Again, a lot of the sites are co-located with the super sites I was talking about, except 1 or 2. For example, Engine is not a super site, but that is the place where they go and collect the data for the remote sensing calibration validation. Okay, so if you look at all these things, the data landscape is quite diverse and heterogeneous. So if all the remote sensing and model-derived data, the raster data sets, and then a lot of the plot observation are the human observations, and then a lot of the sensors are a time series observation. And again, there are the acoustic sensors. There is a camera, the phenocam, that is a camera with image sensors, and then the flux towers are the micrometeorological data sets, which is around 14 sensors deployed in each of those towers. And now we have a drone as well. So in the drone, we provide the multispectral image as well as the LiDAR as well as a product. So if you look at, that's why the data management practices, what we follow is quite diverse. And then so it's not like a one place, one way to, manage everything. So depending on what type of data we manage them, but we provide the data in a uniform way, compliant to the standard. Okay, so if you don't know anything about TERN, and then if you want to use a TERN data set, these are the things probably you would need to understand. So the first place is to go to the data discovery portal. So this is the place where you go and access all the data set collected by TERN. So this is a gateway to all the data of TERN publish, which is collected and collated as well. So depending on where the data is hosted, this will take to a different location, but this is the place where you can find all the data. So for every data set we publish, there is a metadata. So that is the binding aspect. So and then the data links will be at a different places. So TERN data discovery portal host all those things and then make that data discoverable and accessible as well. So if you are looking at to visualize the portal, so we have a landscape visualizer. Again, most often you have a link from a data discovery portal to the visualizer as well, or else you can go directly to the visualizer just to go and look at the data. So for example, if you are looking at the remote sensing time series product, the visualizer, you can step through each of the time step and then look at the map of that one. And you can download as well. So one of the things what we have done is we have built a dashboard for the systematic survey data so that data can be accessed at the individual observation point. So we work with the state government agencies to publish a lot of their data set as well. So we build a data integration platform to bring all the systematic survey data together so that you can download them basically in a common format across the different data sources as well. So this is a unique product developed by TERN. I don't think you can find anywhere where you have a systematic survey where you can integrate with the other survey and then download as one thing. You can download as a separate file, and then it is your job to basically combine them, whereas the EcoPlots does basically the integration aspect for you as well. So we have built the image repository. So we collect a fair bit of the images in TERN. So the phenocam I was talking about, and we have images for the LAI, leaf area index, to derive a leaf area index. Again, that is a survey they do. And then we have a photo points from each of those sites. So that's a significant image holding. So we have built this image repository to host all those things. Again, in this one, you can combine across different sites and you can download those images as well. So all these, again, I've got an API access as well, API endpoints where you can programmatically access that data as well. So as I said, so we have a significant holding of data. It is almost impossible for everybody to download all those data set and use it. So we have built a virtual desktop environment called the Coesra. So what we call that as a TERN in a box. So we provide all the data set there in the virtual desktop environment. You can log in from your browser, get a desktop, and then you can do your analysis. You can write a program using a Jupyter Notebook, RStudio. All the tools are there. and then you can share that one with your collaborators. You can save it, keep it. You can come back and rerun everything. So what happens is that that minimizes the data movement from the researcher's perspective, and then you have a managed platform where you can go and run your analysis as well. So again, that virtual desktop provides the GPU node as well. So if you are really doing an intensive analysis, you can use that as well. So assume that you do all the research and then you want to publish the data, because now every journal want the data to be deposited and then DOI to that one. You go to shared, that is a data submission tool. And then again, that is a browser based. You log in and then you answer set of questions. And then you can upload your file if it's small file. If it's a big file, you can talk to us and then we move that file into our infrastructure. And then you can publish that with a DOI as well. So that, that data, the preservation is there. As long as TERN exists, we keep that data set. And then that is discoverable with the TERN data discovery portal as well. And then that will be compliant to all the FAIR principles. So as a researcher, you can go and discover the data. You can do the analysis in the platform. You can basically share the data with us as well. It's like a complete service we offer. So what I will do is I will just talk about each one of these products, and then I will hand over to Gerhard so that he can show how you don't have to download the data and then you can run some analysis as well. Okay, so the first one is the data discovery portal, as I said. So this is the gateway to all the TERN published data sets. So if you want to see that, what TERN data holdings are, you just go to the data discovery portal and then you can look for it. So whatever the data TERN published, it will be discoverable from the data discovery portal. So we have added the themes as this is the home page as a theme, so that we classify the data based on different themes. And again, these themes keep on changing as well, depending on the type of data we get. And then and there are multiple ways you can just go and have a look at the data as well. And then all those data set compliant to the FAIR principle. So for example, if you are looking for the flux data, you click on that carbon and water atmosphere fluxes icon, so that it provides you all the flux related data set TERN has got. If you're looking at if you click on the remote sensing, it provides all the remote sensing and UAV data sets. Probably we will separate the UAV data in the future, partly because we are getting so much of UAV data set. Probably that can be as a separate classification as well. And then we change that to like a satellite as a separate satellite remote sensing as a separate theme. So systematic survey data set I was talking about, if you click on that, the ecosystem surveillance monitoring plots, so that is you can access all the systematic survey data sets what we have. And then, as I said, large number of government and then the university researchers publish the data. So that is a separate theme. You can just go and access that data as well. So we publish a national soil grid. So that is 90-meter resolution, 14 attributes data set across the 6 layer. So that is the soil grid, soil and landscape grid. If you click on that one, you can see all those products. So now most of them, but I think about 10 years back, there was version 1. Now it is a version 2 as well. So you can see either version, both the versions available there. And then as part of that now, we have a product called the, soil moisture, like a daily soil moisture data set as well, continental scale, model-derived. Even you can see that data set when you click on that one. Okay, so the other aspect, if you are searching via the region, assume that you want to see, look, what TERN has got in this Southeast Queensland. So you can go to the Ebro region and then the Southeast Queensland. You can search for the Southeast Queensland, and then it will provide you the list of data set it has got as well. Again, if you are interested in Queensland government as a state, state and territory administrative areas as well. You can select that. Then you select the Queensland, and then you can see the list of data set Queensland has got. Again, the Australian ACT and everything, all the state and territories. And then we have indexed all the data set to the indigenous areas as well. You can click one of those, and then you can select whichever you are interested, and then select what data we have. So basically what we do is we index based on the location of where the data is collected to the administrative area. Yeah, so we have indexed that one. So if you have any special requirements, let us know. So we're happy to use that map as well to index the data set. So refer, say NRM, organizations want that NRM regions to be indexed as well. So we have that. So for example, if you want like an exact what data we have in the Cape York, you can just click on that one and then see what data set we have. So most often you get like a big list, partly because we have a lot of the continental scale data products, because continental data products basically surrounds the entire continent. So you get those fair bit of a list. It doesn't mean that it doesn't work, because it has to be there in every region, the continental scale data separate. But having said that, you can go and sub search on the theme. Once you do that one, and then you say, okay, I want only the plot data, you just go out on the plot data and so on. So you can search based on the platform. So for every data set we publish, we have harmonized so where that is collected. So for example, the satellite remote sensing is a platform, and then the sensors based from that satellite, make the observation. That is the instrument. For us, we even represent the ecological site as a platform, but you go and do the measurement there. For example, the flux tower is a platform as well. The instrument sitting on the flux tower do the measurement. And that is the instrument. So you can just classify, if you want to look at only the Landsat 8 data set or Sentinel 2A, 2B, 2C data set, you can just go here and then click on that. And then you can see only those data sets and so on. Again, the instrument, the same thing. If you are, for example, the MODIS is an instrument in the Aqua and Terra satellite. You can just go and look at the MODIS, and then you can even select, okay, I want the MODIS Aqua one, so that it shows data only from that MODIS Aqua satellite. As well. The next one is the parameters. So we have created a fair bit of the control vocabularies to describe each of the observation we do. You can search based on all the parameters as well. For example, absolute humidity to vegetation height or the plant height, ground cover, whatever. You can just look at this one. So this is the good way to look at, what are the parameters TERN has got. If you just scroll through this one, that, what parameters it has got, kind of it. Okay, so just to give an example, if I'm searching where I click on the remote sensing one, and then there was a seasonal fractional cover. This is basically the joint remote sensing program in UQ, and then the collaboration with the Queensland government and New South Wales government derived this product. So this is around 30 years time series data set. You can click on that one. You can see the link to the data where there is a cloud optimized geodiff. That is the link to the data. If you scroll down, you can see all the keywords. So basically, you can see the instrument that is used, and then the resolution of the data set, because there's a raster resolution of the data set as well. And then I think if we go down, basically you can see the parameters as well. And then you can see the related information and everything as well. And if you click on the data set, it will go to the link to the data. So this is where the data. So basically this product is each of the states, they create the product and then they stitch together to create a continental scale data. That's why each of the state data set is there. And then there is a collection.json. That is a stack catalog, stack collection. Yeah. So you can, that's how you programmatically read this data set. You read using a stack API to read through this data set. And then there was a link to the visualizer as well. So you click on that one. This is the visualizer where you can see. So you can see that time step where you can change the month and the year. and then the map will refresh. So depending on, how that looks, kind of a thing as well. So that is how, at least, from this one, that, how the data was collected, and then it has got a bit of a detail description as well, the QA, QC and everything, if you look at the metadata, and then you can see how the data looks as well. And then if you're interested, if you're really interested, you can download all the thing, which will be fair bit, or you can programmatically just access the data set. Okay, so just an example, another systematic survey. If we are using the same method, I just click on the surveillance plot, and then I'm just interested in the soil samples. So we publish them as like an entire collection because it's like a one protocol used across Australia. So that's why it's like a one collection. So we publish them. And then, so if you look at there, the data link goes to the echo plot because that is where the data is hosted. It takes you to the echo plot. So in the echo plot, you can fine tune as well. You can look at, okay, what are the parameters you want? For example, in this one, most likely you will have like a bulk density, soil pH and everything. You may are looking at only the bulk density of the soil. You just select only in the, if you scroll down, there's a parameter list. You can select only the bulk density, and then you just get the data, only that data set. And or you can fine tune because there is a region there. You can say that, you don't want everything. You want only, say, for example, in a Burdekin region, and then you can select that from the Hebrew, the Burdekin region, and then you download only that data set as well. So this is the parameter I was talking about, sorry. So that it provides the list of things, and then you can make a selection of the parameters as well. So again, the flux data set, again, when you click on the flux one, it will provide a list of flux data set. The flux data, we publish them as a product. So we basically, the scientists process the data every 6 months. They reprocess the entire thing, partly because there may be some issue or they tweak the algorithm, whatever. So that's why we publish them as a product twice a year. That's why if you can see that one, there is a version there, like a 2025 version 1 is basically, that's a 2025 data set. For some data set, they haven't changed much, but they process the entire time series. That's why we publish them everything as a product. So each of those products, that's why we publish them as a product as a snapshot. Each of those has got a DOI as well. So the main reason for that, you assume that you are writing a paper, you use that data set. Paper writing takes about 1 year, assume that. And then there's already a new product. Assume that, they done some quality control and then they're tweaking algorithm. It's a bit of a different change. And then you take the data and rerun the analysis, you may get a completely different result or some aberration kind of a thing. You know what I mean? So that is why we snapshot that, so that you assume that you access only the 2025 version 1. That data always stays there. Yeah, you don't have to worry about it. Okay, as long as you know that you use the version 1, 2025, you go back and then access the same data set. That won't change the data set. So that is a good thing, so that you can be rest assured that whatever the data you have accessed, that will be preserved. It won't change. Yeah? So again, the same thing. If you can look at each of those data set, you have an access link to that one, which is an open app, and then you go here, and then because the flux they publish in a 4 different level. The L3 is the first level of the reusable, and then the L4, L5 basically depending on what the gap filling they do, algorithm they use. So they have a different level as well. The L6 is the highest one. They provide like an annual aggregation as well as part of the L6 as well. So depending on, so the L3 is the minimal reusable product, the reusable data set. So you can click one of those, and then if you like a twice click, and then you go to like HTTP link, you can download the entire data set, or you can click on the opened app. So that is where you can even split only the time series. So basically that is a station tower, so lat long won't change. time is the only dimension which change. So then you can say that, look, I want only the 30 points. And then if you put 30 there, and then you can download only the 30 plus 30 data points kind of a thing as well. Or you can use this, there are other tools called the Pinalpay and everything. So you can put this URL in Pinalpay, and then it will plot a graph for you and everything as well. And then we have built a library, and then that's what Gerhard will show you, how you can just programmatically do all these things as well. Okay. So some of the other features is, assume that you do a search, and then, okay, you thought that, okay, this is what the data you want for your research. And then you don't want to go and keep on doing the same thing, you know what I mean? Because you want to go back after 6 months and look at what is the update data. You can save those searches as well. So there is a save search, all the facet it will print, and then you can save that search as well. And then assume that you have made some search, and then you have a list of results. You can export that as well and keep it, so that for your reference as well, there's an export button as well. And then assume that, there is something not working. There's a feedback button where you can just, send a feedback to us, to our help desk. One of our team members will respond, look at the problem and then respond as well. And then if in each of the metadata, there is an button called add favorite, assume that you wanted to look, closely watch the data set, you can save that as well as in favorite. It's your favorite data set kind of a thing, because all those will be made as a list. And then you can use that data set in your paper, because one of the thing what we promote is like, the data set as the first order research artifact, not just put it in appendix or just put it in as a line, okay, URL of the data set. It should be cited as a first order artifacts, research artifacts. So we have provided option where you can export that into BibTeX and export as a EndNote, and then the other Madly thing as well, as a RIS format. Yeah. So it will, so that if we don't, so there is no basically reason for not to cite a data. Yeah. So a lot of times what happens is that researchers download all the data set, write up a paper. Midnight, 12 o'clock, you need to submit a data. 10 p.m. you're fanatically writing up, trying to finish. I don't think anybody will cite it. Just leave it kind of a thing, because you need to remember where to go and find it, right? So whereas in this way, what happens is that assume that if you are using the data you save as a favorite, you just log in back and you know exactly where it is. And then you export into that one and put it as part of your EndNote. And then you just cite it as like any normal research paper. So that is, if you look at the one I did mention, is that the licensing. So we don't publish any data without a licensing there. So that is basically tells you how to use the data set. All our data set is published, and then it provides as a Creative Commons by attribution. That means that you need to attribute. Yeah. So you can use it, you can make money out of it, but you need to attribute the source. Yeah. So that is the main reason we provide the citation information. If you need to attribute, and if we don't tell you how to attribute, that means that you can't attribute. So that is, but if you look at every TERN data set, there is a citation information. Without citation information, we don't publish the data at all. So that is absolute critical for what we do. And all the information will be there in the metadata page. That's why this is very critical for anybody. Okay, so the next one, I will go to the landscape visualizer. So this is basically a simple tool where we visualize both the raster and then the vector data set. So our main idea is that if when people come to TERN, they should be able to go to Discovery portal and then look at it. And then if they want to visualize it, they should be able to visualize it. And if they want to programmatically access it, there should be an API to access it. So that is the core premise we work with. So whatever we build, it meets all these things. Yeah? So whenever, if somebody provides, say that, I want to publish this data. So these are the three things we look at. Okay, how to make this discoverable, how to basically visualize this data set, and then how to build an API so that the people can programmatically access this data set. So most of our data set, especially TERN funded on the TERN collected data set, I've got all these three things, because that is the core premise we work on. Yeah? And then one of the thing what we do is that we interconnect them. So we don't want people to lose. Assume that they come to the visualization portal. Okay, it looks nice. You want to know more about that product. So we have a link of the data discovery portal so that they can go back and look at the more details about the data set as well. So it has got a simple feature where you can search for the data set. If I search for like what I showed, the fractional cover previously, there are multiple fractional cover products. Yeah? So I pick one of them, and then so there you can see that gridded data. It's a gridded data. If you select the gridded data, then you can go and I think previously I showed the time series. You can change the time and look at the image as well. So the other thing what we do is like we collect the in the back end the statistics as well, because a lot of the people, especially who work in the consultants kind of a thing, so they're not the programmers, like one big map. They want to know only what is happening in, for example, St. Lucia, or in Southeast Queensland kind of a thing. They don't want to download the entire thing and look at it. So that's why we calculate those statistics kind of a thing using that administrative area. So basically, then we calculate for the Hebrew region, NRM region, every state. So that is what it does for the zonal statistics. You click on them and you select whether you want an Hebrew one, and then it will show the map. So the overlay of the map, you click each of those polygon, and then it will show what the value of that as well, the fractional cover kind of a thing. So this is very useful for the probably people, not for the researcher, probably who don't know how to, write a program to do this, so that it's straight away people can get that this information. So the other one I will show you again is the flux one. The flux we publish as a netcdf file. Netcdf file is not the easiest file format to learn or the kind of a thing. Yeah. So this is a good tool for that one, so that we plot a graph for a bit of the data set. Again, the same thing. This is a map which shows all the towers where they are, and then you click one of the tower on the left hand side. You can select the different version of the data, and then it populates the different variables in that version. And then you select each of those versions, and then you can see the plot of the graph as well. So this is a good way where you can look at what the data is without learning what the netcdf is and everything. So you don't have abstract beyond the like a file formats and everything. So we do the same thing for all the data set. Again, this one is from the surveillance monitoring side. So this example is about vegetation stratum. So what it tells is, okay, these are the plots, these are the places where the vegetation stratum information has been collected. Because it's a big data set, we don't want to load into the visualizer, but we have a link where you click on that link and it takes to the echo plot where you can download the data set. So if you can see the pattern, we close the loop. Okay, you discover on certain thing, everything should lead to okay where the data is kind of a thing, so that you can go and download it. So one of the things, so this is a bit of a collaboration with one of our ANU collaborators. So there's so we publish the Australian Environmental Explorer. So basically, yearly we look at how the state of the environment of the Australia is. So a lot of those products is also discoverable from here. You can visualize the data as well. So fair bit of the data set are in NCR because they do the fair bit of the processing in NCR. So you can visualize those data sets as well. So some of the new features we are working on, it's already in a test one. So the drone data visualization, as I said, we have like a significant drone data holding. So we wanted to basically show people the entire map where the drone campaign is happening from TERN. And then they click on that map and then look at, okay, what are the different products available, L1 products. So it's orthomosaic, RGB, and then the flight path so that the people know how it is collected. And then we are working on we collect the LiDAR data as well, so that the 3D point cloud visualization as well. So that is the work, we are doing it. So it will be, we will release that as a part of the very soon. The other one we are working is also on the subsetting. So for example, we talked about the, like a very rigid boundary, right? Assume that you wanted to write a polygon and then want to download only that part of the data. So that subsetting aspect is also, it's in a test version. We haven't pushed into production. So that is also another, all the raster dataset will have that feature very soon. Okay, so the other one I will talk about is the next one is the EcoPlot. So the EcoPlot, as I said, is the data integration platform for a systematic survey. So as you know, the systematic survey people are people who don't know. So the people go to a place, they measure 100 meter plot, and then they do the survey of the vegetation, the soil, and then they will do the fauna as well, but we don't do active fauna monitoring. And then and then the geological aspect and everything as well. So we need to bring all this data together. Systematic survey is one of the widely used survey. Each of the state government does it. So for example, the Queensland government has got around 18,000 plots all across Queensland. South Australia has got about 45,000 plots. New South Wales has got about more than 120,000 plots. So like a massive amount of data set they collect. And then the vegetation plot in Northern Territory around 30,000 plots. Because Northern Territory is so big, right? So bringing those data set together is the biggest challenge. And then so everybody provide their individual data set. Just to bring them together is a big challenge. If you look at the map of Australia, Department of Environment publish a national vegetation map. You can see the state boundary there because the forest won't know the boundary, right? So basically what they do is, each of the state provide the map, they stitch together. Basically they put together and then publish as a map. Yeah, because there is no seamless transition because they use a different protocol, how they collect the data. There is always a buffer. You can see that map and everything. So that is a bit of a biggest challenge. When somebody as a researcher look at it, you think that this is a bit dodgy because there may be a massive information loss there. So that is why the harmonization of the systematic survey and the integration is absolute critical to improve substantial, management of the environment. So again, we have, I will explain quickly later about how we do it. So when you are using it, basically, again, the same pattern, you can, every site, based on the site, we index, but based on the region, and then the feature type is the common denominator for everything. Yeah. So you can select any one of them. So in this one, I've selected the surveillance monitoring. Oh, I've selected the ecoregion and then Southeast Queensland. Okay, what we have in the Southeast Queensland kind of a thing. Yeah. And then I say that I want to look at the vegetation stratum information in Southeast Queensland. And then, so this is the result I received. Yeah. And then if you can look at there's a map view as well. So if you click on the map view, it will show where are the plots are there as well, because that is the Southeast Queensland region of the Ebru, and it shows the, where the plots are as well. Yeah. So if you're happy with that one, you can say get data, and then it will ask you to basically add any of the attributes available. We add like a core attributes as a compulsory. There may be some other extra attributes you can add them, and then you should be able to download that. So this is like a data cart. We call it as, it's very similar to the shopping cart where you add a bit of a description to the data and title to the data, and then the different version of the data, just like a simple CSV or GeoJSON or the complete with all the information model and everything. That's what got is like an ontology. Yeah? So if you want that one, so basically it will prep in the backend and you will get an email. So you can go back to, so you can click on the email and download as well, or you can go back to this dashboard and you can download as well. So this one, for every query you do, it stays in your dashboard. Anytime you can go back and rerun the same query. So it assume that the data might have changed, you get like an updated data kind of a thing. So when it's ready for download, you can see that like a download, you click on the download, this is the download button. So we package this in a Baggett specification. So this is for the data preservation. And then if you look at their, data is arranged in a different way. And then the another notable thing is there is a bib and ris file as well. That is a citation file. Okay, for this data set, how do you cite it? Yeah, so that is also is offered there as part of that one. So basically, you shouldn't complain that, okay, I don't know how to cite it, kind of a thing. Yeah. So that is what it's available there. Again, when you do like a mishmash kind of a thing, it's almost impossible for you to know how to cite it. So most of the people don't cite at all. Or you just put a one word, okay, oh, we use TERN data, but nobody knows what data kind of a thing. So in this way, you know how to cite it, and then you make a citation. Okay. Okay, so I will just quickly provide an overview of how we do it. I was expecting, I don't know, like a fair bit of ecologists in the room. I don't know what is the background of a lot of people, but I will just provide a quick overview. So how we look at to conceptualize it is, look, the ecology, when they go to a field, they do some sampling, basically the representation of a site. Okay, so sampling is the basically represent. Assume that I'm collecting a water at one point in a Brisbane River, and then I say that water temperature. Basically, I'm representing the river, the entire Brisbane River, kind of a thing, because I'm collecting at one point. That is the sampling. Yeah? The observation is basically the observation you do. If there is something happening, you do the observation, and then in the ecological thing, they do the intervention as well. For example, they do like a burning. Now it's the good time. A lot of people are, do the burning aspect, before the bushfire, and then they do the monitoring. That is the intervention. It is not a natural ecological process, but the intervention, like a human intervention kind of a thing. Yeah. For example, the feral animal culling. That is the intervention as well, and then they do the monitoring. For example, somebody wants to measure, like, what is the impact of this intervention, whether for example, native animals, has improved, kind of a thing. Yeah. But you should know that context, that is the intervention. We represent those things. Yeah. And then, so basically what we do is, for example, you do the sampling, you use some sampler. Sampler can be a person, it can be an instrument, everything. And then, you, for the observation, the same thing. And then for every observation, there is an observable property, the phenomenon, what you measure, and then the when it was measured, and then what is the value. Yeah. So basically, when a person goes, they measure the feature of a thing. For example, they go to a plant. Assume that I build a plot there in the next to our building. Okay, what I will be measuring is the trees. Then I look at the diversity of the plants. I may measure individual tree to get actual representation. Yeah. So that is like a plant individual is a feature. Yeah. Assume that there are massive only eucalyptus thing. Okay, at the community level, I measure, because the dominant species is eucalyptus. There are one or two plants. It's fine. I can just deal with it. So I just measure at the community level. Yeah. So that is the feature we are talking about. Yeah. So that is the harmonization point in the field. For example, any data set we get, we look at, okay, what is the feature type they are measuring? So that is the harmonization point. Based on that, we combine the data set together. So for example, every data set will have a feature type. And then based on that feature type, you do the observation. Every observation has got an observable property, procedure, and then the result time, result, and then the unit of measurement. Yeah. So the main reason for every observation, we need to provide this, partly because the procedure is a very critical thing. For example, in some of the samples, what they do is, like, they have an average height. They look at only dominant 3 species and then average it and provide, okay, this is the average height of this site. But in some protocol, they do an individual tree measurement, average it, and give it. These two are different things. If you look at the procedure, okay, these two are a different thing. That is why with every observation, the procedure, what was used, needs to be propagated. Yeah? So that is why we do that one. So the feature type, again, is all the control vocabulary. So we define them, what they mean, so that, as a community level, everybody agree with that definition, so that everybody use that one. Yeah. If if people don't agree with each of the definition, then, it's a chaos. That's why we create that as a control vocabulary, so that everybody agree with that one. And then everybody happy to use that to define whatever the feature type is. So if we take quickly one of the example, so in our surveillance monitoring, they do the soil characteristics. They look at the profile. For example, 10 to 20 centimeter, 20 to 30, 30 to 40. So that is a profile. You look at the profile. For example, in soils, they look at the horizon as well. Some of the protocols use the horizon. Horizon means when the color change of the soil, they dig. Some maybe like 2 meters after that they change. So that is the horizon. So that is why we say the feature type is a profile, kind of a thing. And then the attribute is that the sample location, where the sample is, the pit will be the thing, and then the height, the depth range. Yeah, so that that what is the depth range. Okay. They do some observation. The observed property is the color, soil color, horizon, pH, effervescence. Again, that is as a control vocabulary. And then the procedure is there. That is again as a control vocabulary as well. Yeah. The feature type is also a control vocabulary. If you download this data, meaning of each and every aspect of what you get the data. So that is what you get in a TERN ontology file when you get like a massive information. It is quite intimidating. People say that, I want very simple thing. That's why we give only the CSV file as well, if you just want a simple thing. Yeah. Okay, next I will go to is the echo images. So as I said, the TERN collects massive images, ecological images. So we have 12 phenocam across Australia, which provides data half an hour, 10 to 4. We have around 750 images now collected. And then we have collected over the years as part of the survey, the images to derive a LAI, leaf area index. And then we have a photo point. So photo point is basically they go to a site, they stand at one place and take a 360-degree photos so that you get a representation of a site. So they generally take it at 3 different locations so that you basically take that and look at the complete representation of the site. So that is the photo point. So in the future, because of the AI and ML, you can take that photos and then you can derive, for example, the DBH of a tree, sophisticated algorithms and everything. And you can look at the height of the tree as well. You can derive those kind of things as well. So that is again the significant holding. So we have around 1,000 sites. Each time they go, they take that, at 3 different places, a significant data holding. That's why we build this repository, image repository, so that the people can, go through these images and then mishmash them and then download what they want, kind of a thing, instead of, looking everything as a dump. So again, this one is if you look at it, it's a very similar pattern for whatever we do. It has got a region where you can select based on the things. So I've just selected, I think, phenocam. And then in the phenocam, you can select. So the phenocam, what we do is, we also calculate the chromatic indices every day. So we get data every day, and then we collect the chromatic indices, for example, RGB chromatic indices, and make that available as well. So if you want, you can download the data set image, or you can download only the chromatic indices as well. So for example, a lot of the remote sensing people download the image and then they reprocess because they are looking at only set particular thing. Whereas if somebody wants to have just the indices, they can download that as well. Yeah. And then if you are interested in like a major vegetation type where the sites are, you can select that. And then a lot of the phenocam, they are looking at down and then looking at canopy as well. So you can select that as well. And then you can ask for to provide that data. Again, you can select, okay, I want image and chromatic indices. I want only the chromatic indices, both of them. Yeah. So once again, the same pattern. So once you get an email once the data is ready, and then you can come to this dashboard, you can download that data set. So one of the thing, I mentioned, I forgot to mention in the previous one is assume that you have used this data and then you have used this data set in writing a program. People say that you want, assume that the journal said that, you need a DY for that one, you can go and mint a DY there. Yeah, for that particular data set. That's why there is that mint DY there. You go there, click on that one. It will ask you, to fill like a good description, so that somebody should be understand as well, and then you can mint a DY. So once you mint a DY, that data package persist, so that after 10 years, if you want to download the data, the exact data set will be there as well. So we strongly encourage people to do it. If you are writing a paper like that, you can go here and mint a DY and use that DY basically in your paper. So that it is an accurate representation of what data set. Assume that, for a tower, you are using only 2025 data. You don't have to tell that, okay, I use the entire tower. Probably tower is giving for the 10 years worth of data. Here you can subset that only for 2025, and you can mint a DY only for the 2025 data set. So that is the function you will get from this one. Okay, so quickly I will go through the virtual desktop environment, what we offer. Again, so this is a cloud-based virtual environment where you just come to the Coesra, you log in using your credentials, whether your university one or the Google account as well. You can select what you want, like whether the CPU or then the GPU node, and then you can select the number of cores as well, number of RAM, how much RAM you want, and then generally by default it is for the 5 days, but you can extend that as well. You go to the setting and then you can change, okay, I want for 15 days the virtual desktop kind of thing. So once you do, and then it will spun up and then it will create a desktop. If the desktop would look something like this, and it has got a number of tools, and I'm happy to add more tools if you really want. So these are the common tools people ask us, and then these are the tools that are available in the virtual desktop. Generally, we keep this up to date, assume that we update the libraries and everything. So those are pretty good. And then, so if you go to an Explorer, there should be a link called the TERN data collection. You click on that one, you can see all the TERN data collection, the majority of the especially big data holdings, so that you can use the virtual desktop to write up a program or whatever using that data as a local data kind of a thing. Yeah. So that is the usefulness of this one. As part of this one, assume that you are collaborating with somebody. You can create your own working group in this virtual desktop so that you can share with them. And then there is a public share as well. You can share with others as well. There's a folder called the public data sharing, public analysis sharing. If you put that, everybody can see it. Or if you want to share with only your collaborators, you can do that as well. On the dashboard, you can create your group, and then you can invite others to come and add themselves to that group as well. Yeah. So that is also possible. So basically, what we provide is an environment where you can collaborate and do the research. Once you're happy, once you write a paper, you can share that with the wider community as well. So then you have done analysis, you write a paper, whatever, and then you say that, look, I want to publish my artifacts, whether it may be a model what you have built or the data. Then you go to shared. So shared is again the web interface where you publish the data set. So we use TERN use this widely, but it's available for the external users as well. So it's compliant to the metadata standard, what we use, which is the ISO standard. And then again, even in shared, you can collaborate to write up the metadata, because we ask a bit of a significant amount of thing. For example, we don't publish if you don't provide anything about QA, QC kind of a thing, partly because we need to be compliant to the FAIR principle, and because somebody don't understand, they are the people who will ask us in a help desk. I don't understand this data kind of a thing, so that it's a bit of overhead on us as well. So this internal curation happens with the people, Gualing and Arun, who is remotely. So basically they do the curation aspect of the things, and then they approve this processing, publishing aspect. So share is a very simple tool. Again, We abstract all the complexity. We just ask a certain set of questions. You answer them, and then we ask you to select the keywords or the vocabularies as well. You select them, and then either you can upload a data set, assume that you have like a large data holding kind of a thing. We're happy to transfer that data, or you can upload a substantial amount of data set on this interface as well. Yeah. And then assume that if you want, like, if you have a web service which you have set up or whatever, you're happy to share that as well as part of this. So once you share that one, assume that you in your lab, you are the person who started this. You thought that another RA can help you. Then they need to log in once, and then there is a share button. You put their name, and then they can also edit that same metadata record, so that you can collaborate and then write up the entire metadata kind of a thing. It's not onus on you to write up the entire thing. Okay, so that is just a bit of a schematic representation of how it happens. So for example, you submit a data set, we get a notification, our team data curation team reviews that, and then they will get back to you if they want some changes or some clarification kind of a thing. And then once both of you approve, then you can, that will be published. Again, as part of the submission, there's a question where you ask you whether you want a DOI for that one. If you click that one, and then our team assess whether this data set requires a DOI. And then if they are convinced, they will mint a DOI for you as well. And then that will be published to the TERN data discovery portal. Okay, so I will hand over to Gerhard now.
Let's try a little bit of a live demo. What can go wrong? Screen share. And I'm trying to share my screen here. Change. So I've prepared a couple of Jupyter notebooks just to demonstrate how to access the data of what Guru was showing now on the web front end, but that you can also do it programmatically. For most of the data, let's start with that. We require authentication to access the data. The main reason for it is that we need to report back to our funding providers and data providers about the data usage, so that they can make a decision to support the data product further on, and also get some statistics you probably get some funding from somewhere as well. But other than that, we're not doing much with it. So there's the account.tern.org.au site. You basically just log in. I'm a University of Queensland member. And I'm now in my account profile, and under list my API keys, I can see my currently active API keys one, or I can just create a new one. Basically give it a new name.
Gerhard, apologies for interrupting. We are not able to see your slides. If you could have a check.
Sorry, I forgot. I need to share the screen with Zoom as well. I was before struggling with getting that shared with the demo. Are you now seeing my browser window? No. No? Yes. The same as the screen on here? Oh, perfect. So yes, that was the accounts TERN.org. I'll come back to the link again for those people online. And then was just I request a new API key. It creates me one. And this here is basically your password you're going to use to access the data programmatically. It will only be shown once, so make a copy of it and keep it somewhere safe, because you won't see it again. And because I exposed that now, I'm going to delete it again. So that's how you get an API key. Why is this jumping back and forth here? I'll have to stop the presentation here. That's it. That's better. Probably need to reshare my screen here. That's not working. PowerPoint got in the way. So the easiest thing is to create a file named .NET-RC, put that kind of content in, literally the text that's here. Your login is your password, which for an API key is just API key for everyone. And the funny string you've seen before you put right here. Once you've got that file there, pretty much all the data access libraries that are available, especially those in Python, and we'll use that file to authenticate. So that's the very easiest way to get to it. Sorry? Yes, that's the password I've shown before, the funny string. Yes. So this basically tells us log into that server. That's where our data is hosted. Use username API key, and I shouldn't double click on this one. Use the username API key, and instead of this string your real API key, you put in the key that you've generated in your accounts page. Flux data damage. So we've just recently created a little Python library. Sorry for the R people, my specialty is on Python, so it will be on Python today. So we've created a little TERN data flux Python library. You can just pip install it and use it and get a nice overview of our flux data holdings. With Jupyter notebooks, you import your libraries, or with Python itself, you input your libraries you want. For plotting, I do like the HVplot library because it gives you nice interactive plots. But the first thing there's a function called getSites that returns a GeoPandas data frame and returns you all the information about all the flux data sites we have available. So there's the Adelaide River, you got the longitude, latitude, what type of vegetation there is, general description about what sort of vegetation you expect there, and also the data rate, the date range of the data. So some of these sites no longer exist, like the Adelaide River one, stopped collecting in 2009. But other sites like Howard Springs, for instance, where is it? We've got data going back to 2002, and it's still collecting. And overall, there is 43 sites. They're not all functioning anymore. We've got 36 active sites, and the others are still there for historical access. GeoPandas data frames are really nice. We can easily visualize them on a map. My screen zoom goes in. So in this case, I've selected the Adelaide Springs site. Can I remove this somehow? Yes. I've selected the Adelaide Springs, Alice Springs, Calperum, and Howard Springs sites. If you plot this on the map, Howard Springs on the top, Alice Springs in the center, and Calperum at the bottom. So we exactly know, even on the map, where this data is sitting. I decided to pick the Howard Springs sites because it's got the longest time frame of data available. As Guru was mentioning before, we are versioning our flux data, so you can interrogate as well via Python which versions are available for this site. So we have a number of years and versions available. I decided to pick the latest one that does this line at the bottom. Flux data is published in various processing levels. It's called L3, L4, L5, L6, where different things happen to the data, different quality controls and gap filling algorithms are applied. L6 is the most comprehensive one. It even contains the GPP and NEP data. And at the end, I know my processing level I want, from which site, which version. I just call the get dataset method and you get back an array. So I'm not usually doing this on this touchpad. So we've got a time series, 404,000 data points for the whole time series data. And we've got 182 variables. Nice thing with the Jupyter notebooks is we can interrogate these variables. For instance, looking at the metadata. So that's this AH variable is absolute humidity. It's collected by an HMP45C instrument. The unit is gram per cubic meter, and it even tells you the valid range. And this is available for every parameter that's there. So they get the full description, what it is, which ranges to expect, which instrument collected it, etc. And flux data has a lot of variables. With the flux data is one single location. NetCDF files tend to be also used for grid data. The location is stored here as well, but we have only one point, so we don't need this location dimension. So let's remove it, and we're left with an array that only has a time dimension, nothing more, and still all the 182 variables. And if you want to look at just absolute humidity, there's NetCDF as a standard called CF convention. That's the climate convention. They define a whole lot of standard names for the various parameters that can be put into a file. Absolute humidity, the standard name is mass concentration of water vapor in air. And I've selected, and I just filter out my data set. I only want the absolute humidity. And I now have an array with only my 4 absolute humidity values out of this data set. I just remove all the invalid values, resample it to a daily mean, and then I can nicely plot it. And get so that's over all the, 23 years of data. And you can kind of see the nice seasonal change. During summer, you've got a high humidity range. During winter, which would be here, August, you have very low humidity. And that kind of makes sense in hot springs. We can do the same with air temperature. I filter my data set, get out the air temperature, get the daily means. And yeah, being a tropical site, temperature doesn't change that much. Again, there are 4 air temperature sensors, so we're getting a graph of all 4 things. Level 6 data has gross primary productivity. So did the same there, and you get a nice graph of gross primary productivity. Sorry, I'm a computer scientist, not an ecologist, so I can't tell you much about what the values mean. But again, very nice to see the seasonal change, high productivity during the summer season, and the productivity drops off during winter. We can also compare across sites. The get datasets method out of the Flux library, my sites was the variable I've used with the 3 sites I mentioned before, Hot Springs, Alice Springs, and Calperum. And I pulled this out, so for each, I get back a Python dictionary with all the sites for Alice Springs, Calperum, and Hot Springs. Each one has a data array with everything included. I massage that a little bit and turn it into a nice data set where I pull out what did I pull out? Air temperature. Just pull out the air temperature. So I get for each site, I have now a variable. For Alice Springs, I've got an array with the air temperature. For Calperum, for Hot Springs as well. And I can compare those with a nice graph. This time I did the monthly average. And the yellow line, Hot Springs, tropical, always stays nice in the 120s somewhere. Of course, the seasonal change. Alice Springs, in the middle of the desert, gets a little bit hotter in summer, fairly cool in winter as well. And Calcareum in the south, desert-like area as well, but further south, so you get lower temperatures. I wasn't sure which other variables I could show nice differences, but this is a nice way to compare what's happening across the continent, across the sites. And the really other nice thing is with Python here, you can just select, I want it for 1 year. That's the time range I'm interested, because it's now a much smaller time range. I just plot the daily average for this 1 year and make this bigger here. And yeah, you can see it starts in summer, Australian summer in January, and the temperature goes up and down as over the year, as one would expect. When we're looking at the data, does pretty much the same as Guru was showing on the web, but you have a nice programmatic interactive interface as well. We look at the data, work with it down, and I haven't downloaded anything. I just accessed it directly. And I was running this on my laptop. Fractional cover, Guru was talking about that before as well. So fractional cover is a time series raster data set. It covers, I think it starts around 1987, goes until now. Seasonal data, so there's every 3 months there's a new time step. It's based on Landsat, so we've got a 30-meter resolution, and it provides 3 bands per pixels. Tells you the background, the percentage of background cover, green vegetation and non-green vegetation. And if you look at it, in this case, I set up a little task cluster to do some parallel processing in the back end. I've got a shape. I was thinking, let's get into see what happened over the last 30 years in the Brisbane area. So I took the Brisbane LGA, which is exactly the shape here. For further analysis, I took the bounding box around this shape and looked at the stack catalog. So as Guru mentioned, we have a stack catalog for everything. So in this case, I loaded the stack collection for exactly this data set, which I found in the data portal before. Load all the data sets into my X array, which it doesn't download any data yet. It only pulls out the metadata and describes it. And at the end, I have a little data cube with 147 time steps quarterly over the last 30 years. I have 3 bands, and the resolution is 135,000 pixels by something for the whole continent, which would mean we have 30 terabytes of data. That's a little bit challenging from a little laptop here. So let's slice it down to my study area, the Brisbane region. I mentioned before, so I sliced down at the X and Y coordinates, or just the bounds of the Brisbane region. And I'm now in 9 gigabytes of data, which is much more manageable. Again, I haven't downloaded any data yet. Now we want to do a time series across this area. So I thought, let's do an average of all those fractional cover parameters and plot it in a time series. Could be a nice demo. I found out the way I've built the data set before was really, really slow. So I've rebuilt it now. So I take each time step, slice it down to the Brisbane area up front, remove the, using my cursor here? Yeah. Remove the node data value and produce the mean over the X and Y, basically over the area that I've sliced down at the end. Assign it the time step and build an array of everything. This took 7 seconds. So I have now a data set of all time steps. And now I want to actually compute the values I want to plot at the end. So I call on my data set I've sliced down and described up front, call the compute method on it. Took 2 minutes. So now it was actually accessing data, summarizing it, pulling it down, and I can plot it at the end. So that's how green, bare green, non-green happened over the last 30 years in the Brisbane LGA and surroundings. Didn't change too much. There's a slight increase on the bare, so it's probably development that happened. a slight decrease in non-green, slight increase in green. So the whole thing got a little bit greener and a little bit more built up, would be my interpretation. It could be totally wrong. As mentioned before, I do like the HV plot library a lot more for plotting, because now you get these interactive bits as well. So you can see the exact number on each time step. I can zoom in into the data set. I can zoom and pan. Pan is up here. You can go back and forth. It's a really nice way if you want to look closer into it. That ran on my laptop as well. So that's not, don't download anything, just describe what you want. The libraries will pull it out for you and do the maths for you. Drone data. Recently we had Chad Burton from Geoscience Australia, who was looking into using our drone data, and he was playing around with it a little bit, and he shared this notebook with us. I modified it slightly to make it a bit more useful. So the introduction here describes how the drone data is organized in the file location, etc. Then we have some another nice thing which I've learned from his notebooks is that the Geoscience Australia and Digital Earth Australia, they work heavily with Open Data Cube, and they also provide us a couple of really nice Python tools for visualization and working with large data sets. So that's where all these ODC packages come from, and the DEA tools. Come back. So next is he defined where he wants to look at the data. So he defined a point somewhere, put a buffer around it. So in this area, I want to find some drone data if you've got it available, and ideally out of this time range. And then you have a look at. So that was his area where he wanted to look at and find some drone data in it. Let's zoom out a little bit. That's Stewart Highway, I think. So it would be a fair bit north of northwest of Adelaide. We don't have a Stack API yet. So at the moment, there's a Python package called PyStack. It can just crawl the stack catalog we have built, and then you can filter out in Python code itself. We will have a Stack API soonish, and then it will be a simple query. If I have these are the parameters I want, then it will return the items you want. But this code basically filters out by the region and time steps he defined up front. And then at the end, he gets a stack item back, which looks kind of like this. So that there's a feature, it's the level 1 processing. That means with the drone data, we have level 0, which is the raw data. And level 1 would be the first processing step to make a big ortho mosaic or a full point cloud, which is the actual usable data. Stack item is a GeoJSON object. You can easily plot it. It has a geometry, a location. It's got various properties about the time frame, and it's got assets, which are the actual data. And in this case, we're looking at the multispectral GeoTIFF file that has been produced by the drone multispectral sensors. And it's a 10-band multispectral sensor, and which has the various wavelengths of different colors it's collecting, or infrared parts. We can plot that. So that's the GeoJSON file. That's the ortho mosaic we were just looking at. It's ridiculously high resolution. So it's this tiny speck there in his study area is defined. It's a 1 hectare plot. Open Data Cube has a stack library, which makes it really easy to find things. So in this case, we are picking the red and green bands at certain wavelengths. That's what's defined here. With this library, you can also reduce the resolution, so you don't have to download the full high resolution if you don't want to work with the high resolution data. But in my case, just like it looks better in the high resolution. Just loading and building your array, milliseconds. It's got 9,000 by 9,000 points over 3 bands. Then we actually load the data into memory, which took a minute to download. Very quick. Still have the bands, and now we can plot it. And that's how this 3-band image would look like, which is the one green band and the 2 infrared bands. We can also put it on a map. And what fascinated me really is how well it overlaps with the base layer. And you can zoom in and you get some really nice resolution. What I wanted to show quickly here, the RGB camera that goes on the same flight is an even much nicer resolution. So you get some really centimeter-like per pixel where you can interrogate your data at a really fine-grained level. So if those people would look up, we probably could identify them. Yes. And the last one, point clouds. Point clouds are a little bit unwieldy, and the whole tool chains for point clouds are still not that established yet. It's a fairly new data format. Again, it comes from the same drone data set we're having. There is a LAS Python package, which makes it easier to work with the drone data, especially with point clouds. And the demo here shows how to produce a canopy height out of the point clouds. Again, that's from Chad Burton. He described the algorithm. He gets the digital elevation model and the top surface model, and just a subtraction he assumes that's the canopy height. We are publishing all our point clouds in a format called COPC. That's a specialized compressed LAS file which has all the indices, so that you can. So it makes it. It kind of builds a hierarchical tree in the data set itself, so you can access it directly in a very performant way out of the cloud. No need to download the whole file at all. Then it does the maths as described in the description above. Get the elevation model, the surface model, calculate the canopy height, and store this as GeoTIFF at the end. I've put the data link here as well. That's where the data comes from. Sometimes it doesn't render that nice. But it took a little bit longer. So it took 2 minutes to calculate the canopy height model. Looks like this at the end. And again, we can put it on a map as well, on an interactive one. Not just the base layer doesn't go that far with the zoom level. But, well, that concludes my demo, basically. I think the takeaways are you don't need to download the data. You can just access it. If you've got the right libraries, get an API key and use the data. And that's where we think all the APIs and the standard formats come in really handy. You've got all your standard tools you're used to. I'm pretty sure R can do something similar with accessing remote data. And you can run it anywhere. I ran it on my laptop. You can run it in Coesra. Nectar offers a Jupyter Hub and a Binder Hub service as well, and they offer virtual desktop tools. So it runs all in the same data centers and the same cloud environment. So data access should be well performed as well. Thank you.
So the Zoom can see it. Okay, thanks, Gerhard, for showing that one. So I think I just want to reiterate what Gerhard said. You look at the size of the data, right? You can't download that and keep it. So all the infrastructure is available. You don't have to download anything. You can use the API to read all the data set. Yeah. So don't try to download anything. Yeah? So if you have a difficulty, just let us know. We just make sure that So so all our infrastructure is running on a cloud native. So all the format what we use is a cloud native. So that's why I think Gerd showed you how we can read on a chunk kind of a thing. So it supports everything. Yeah. So I think it's still now we get a lot of requests. Oh, how do I download this? How do I keep this data kind of a thing? We straight away tell that, you can't, because Gerhard showed that, 32 terabyte. Yeah. And then it's keep growing because that is Landsat. Now they are transferring into Sentinel. That is 10-meter resolution. And 30-meter resolution that big, you just make a maths of 10-meter resolution. Yeah. So I think that is the main reason I think we have built this. We are working on building the libraries so that we can abstract a lot of the complexities. So, for example, the flux data is a very good example. NetCDF, you don't have to understand NetCDF as long as you know the Python and then the how to use the Python program libraries. You can do a fair bit of analysis and everything. Yeah. So thank you very much for coming. I really appreciate. Hopefully it was a useful thing. So please don't hesitate to contact us if you need anything. Thank you.
Thank you.